she has done New York Fashion Week, she's done Paris Fashion Week, and my designs are going to be featured in Torino Fashion Week in November next month. So right, so my designs are going to debut in Torino Fashion Week, so that's a big plus also. And so modest designers have the opportunity to debut in, big name fashion weeks. So designers have been in DC Fashion Week, LA Fashion Week, and so that allows us to be seen in big name fashion weeks along other major designers. And so the thing is not to just pigeonhole Muslim designers in just Muslim marketplaces, but to see us alongside other designers in other fashion weeks with other designers.
Yeah, but modest fashion has a link with Islam. Could we consider this advantage or disadvantage for the designer?
It really depends on how the designer sees themselves.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, if the designer just sees themselves marketing to Muslims, they could really limit themselves.
Okay.
But if the designer sees themselves, I am a fashion designer. I have Muslim clients, I have non-Muslim clients. I'm a designer for whoever is interested in my products, and they are not limiting themselves. For example, my clientele is not limited to just Muslims. I want Muslim clients, but I want women who want to wear my designs. As I said, the woman who is interested in modest activewear. Because I have women who want to cover, and I have headscarves and hijabs for that woman, but I have clients who don't want to cover. They just want to dress modestly, and I'm all for her as well. And so she doesn't have to get the head covering if she doesn't want that. Because there are women who just want to be modest. They don't want to show their bodies. There are women who are older, who are seniors, and they're tired of being exposed. They just want to look beautiful when they go to the beach. They don't want to wear many of the bikinis anymore. They've been there, done that. They don't want to do that anymore. They just want to look beautiful, and I have something for that woman as well. And so I'm not limited to just women of a certain faith. I'm limited to the woman who wants to wear what I have to offer.
Yes, but how the modest fashion and hijab combine to keep pace with the international fashion sector?
So I think that's
Very
that's the
challenging.
challenge. That's the challenge. Can we keep up with the designs and what the marketplace wants? And I think that's the challenge for designers. And that's the challenge of having the investment to be able to do that. And so the designers have to always be looking at what's out there, looking at what's available, being able to keep up, and looking at all the fashion designs and seeing what's going on, being able to go to all the fashion shows and seeing what's out there. And it's a big market. It's a big fashion world out there, and just being able to keep up.
Yes. Is there any question from the audience to my guest? Yeah, please.
Thank you
Maybe
very
without mic.
It's
Just
okay.
raise your
Thank you very
voice.
much. Uh, I went to Istanbul with my wife. Found we found some swimming suits for women. Complete.
Yeah.
We have that line.
Yes, mine is active, but can be worn in the water. Yes,
This one is specifically designed by the guys
Even the headscarf, you mean?
with the head, everything, but it's waterproof.
yes, mine are waterproof also.
Oh,
Yes.
that's
So let's back to Sarah. Sarah, how prepared our American society for more modest fashion and halal makeup?
Mhm. Yes. Okay, so I'm Andre. Yes. Can you hear me? Okay. So, and we do not have, I mean, when we are talking about modest fashion, I honestly, I mean, personally and honestly, I'm very glad that this term is conducted more often by Muslim women because this is something that we can take ownership and be proud of. This is number one. But we do not have too many Muslims. I mean, Muslim in the United States is not a great number, and it's different when you are going to a Muslim majority nations like Turkey, like Indonesia, like United Arab Emirates, like many of those. I mean, in those spaces, women already dressing modest. But why it has been important in the global market that we are paying attention to the modest fashion is because it's market share. Because we have online transactions, and with the online transactions, people in Canada, I mean, the senior marketing advisor in Nisa told me that they have many of their very expensive items that they are selling within their platform is coming from Canada and Canadian Muslims or American Muslims. So the transaction has gone global. This is number one, and number two. The attention to this style and to this. The other issue that I really wanted to mention is, by social media, I am not going to what Facebook is dealing with or Instagram is dealing with. I mean, I'm just putting all of those politics aside, but by many of we started just writing about them and covering them. Dina Torquillo, at the time was Yasmin, and many of this influencer right now, they dared to, and it's very difficult to be a Muslim in the United States or in European countries. It's very difficult, especially if you are wearing hijab. Islamophobia we are dealing with, it's very difficult. But these women dared to dress beautifully and put it on the stage, put it on their account and writing about them, and that created space for explaining beauty and being beautiful from a different perspective. Number one. Number two, the fashion industry is saturated. Too many ideas. Right now, we are dealing with in the larger fashion industry. I'm talking about mainstream. We are just dealing with not having a fresh and exciting ideas in the fashion industry. And this is one of the very exciting and refreshing ideas of, although you are covered, but still you look very beautiful. You look very gorgeous, and by putting your minds into, okay, how I'm going to present myself. So I believe that Muslim women, it's a bit difficult in the United States. I mean, even it's very difficult to have hijab and everything because of Islamophobia, but they dared in Europe, they dared, and they are showing that we can own the narrative. We can own the narrative and turn it in our favor if we want to, and this is a space that we can perform.
Alliances that we can make with other faith traditions just with clothes. We may not speak language in terms of faith practices, but the beauty in terms of clothes that women wear speaks a totally different language. It's a unification that women wear. All women want to be beautiful. Regardless of your faith tradition, regardless of your faith practices, women want to look beautiful. Between Amish women, Pentecostal women, Jewish women, women who dress modestly, they all want to look beautiful in their own kind of way. Think of it perhaps as a dawah effort. Women want to look a certain way, want to look beautiful, but they need options. They don't always have the right options to look beautiful. Exactly. Typically men. Typically, it's men who are making these options, but what if women now make options for them? What if we decide that we're going to make modest options for women in a variety of different ways? So now they have like this modest active wear. You don't have to just put on some sweats to go work out or to just go for a walk or a run or to go play volleyball. You can now look beautiful and do that, and we can speak a language together to create alliances with women of other faith and eliminate the Islamophobia people think that are out there. We can show other faiths that Muslim women are beautiful just like that, and we can eliminate the Islamophobia that's out there just with clothing.
Yes. Is there any question? Yes.
I think you have the right mindset because, especially the youth, became very challenging for our youth because for a while, everything is haram.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so the kids, I mean, they went to the extreme because we didn't give them any options.
Any options,
So I
right?
think what kind of, for example, the first time I hear halal makeup or
Yes, halal beauty, halal makeup.
so
models.
is there an education process or education material so people could get educated? Because what you're saying is absolutely the right approach, especially for the new generation, especially for our daughters who live here, who have many challenges
Mhm.
because of the multiple culture, and they have to cover, and everything is haram, because this is a serious issue the community faces.
You're absolutely right. And so the thing is, don't make it so Muslim-y. I mean, because the very fact that you make it so Muslim-y, they don't want it. You know, the very fact that we're pushing it, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, it's allowed. You know, you want to call, here's an option, here's something you can look at. Consider wearing this, consider doing this. The more that we make it something that they have to do, the more they don't want to do that. Just say, you know what, consider wearing this. Oh, I bought you this gift. Let's go to the pool. Let's go bike ride. I bought you something to wear the next time you go work out. I bought you something to do when you want to do that. Let's go roller skating. When am I gonna wear roller skating? Oh, I bought you this to wear roller skating. And show them, you bought me this to wear? Oh my God, it's gorgeous. Just give them an option and don't tell them, oh, I bought you this Muslim thing to wear. You better wear it because you're a Muslim. You gotta wear this. I am not wearing that. That they don't want to wear it just because you say it's Muslim. But if you bought them something like this, oh, I want to wear that to go roller skate. Or I want to go play volleyball with that. On my site, workwithallure.com, I have women on roller skating. I have them surfing. I have them playing volleyball, showing Muslim women and Muslim women that are not covered being active in the clothes. So women can see you can be active in these garments and have a modest, active life. It's so Muslim because when you try to push Islam on our young women, they don't want to do it. They don't want to do it. But if you see a Muslim woman surfing, like she's got a surfboard, she's at the beach, what? It gives them options to see themselves in a different light. And it shows them that Islam can be fabulous and Islam can be active and we can have a different life other than what people think that Muslim women do. We have to be able to break out of the box and show, especially our girls, that they can have another life besides what's so-called prescribed for Muslim women.
I think that also speaks to what Nisa talked about, the sister who was in the Olympics.
Yes. The Ittihad Muhammad, the fencer.
Yes, right. She was covered. She held on to her faith, and she got a lot of backlash.
Yes.
But nonetheless, she stood strong. And she talked about that very same thing, how young girls were coming to her saying, I want to do this and I want to wear what you're wearing. So,
exactly, because we have to be able to show them options. There are girls who want to play basketball. Now, of course, this is not an outfit to play basketball if you're on a basketball team, but we have to be able to give our girls options because they want to have an active life as opposed to saying, no, you can't play basketball. Because you can't wear that basketball outfit, or you can't play soccer because you can't wear that outfit. You have to be able to give them options as opposed to saying no. Help them find a way to the yes.
Sarah, in your opinion, does the U.S. market provide a suitable environment for the modest fashion?
Say it again. Repeat.
Yes. Do you think the U.S. market is providing a suitable environment for the designers who are working in the modest fashion?
Yeah. It's okay. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Can you hear me? Okay. I think it's a very good and important question in my opinion. We are right now in a value-driven society. our youth, our people are paying attention to what they are eating. Just a few panels ago, we were talking about halal food and what we are putting in our body. And we are paying attention to what we buy, how we buy, and also we are paying attention to what we wear and how we wear it. So in a sense, I think in our pre-interview, I just explained that in a sense, I see halal lifestyle under the, or probably under a larger umbrella of this ethical and minimal lifestyle. When we pay attention to the food we eat, we pay attention to the chain of the lines that things are get produced, and we really want it to be ethical and within the criteria of what we call humanistic, or what we call halal, or what we call within the Sharia or faith-based phenomenon. So there are, but here's the thing, I think it's a bit unfair to say Muslim designers, to tell them that, okay, now you are new into this market and now you are just getting your foot into and presenting your products. So now you need to pay attention to ethics, you need to pay attention to faith-based, and you need to be environmentalist. The industry and just competing in the industry itself is very difficult. Just the fact that Nisa Muhammad could be able to get into Turin fashion show is a big deal, because it's extremely competitive, it's extremely difficult. And on top of that, we say, you know what, okay, so then you need to be environmentally conscious or ethically conscious, makes it even more difficult. But within the same criteria, I really would like to emphasize that not putting too much pressure on designers, especially modest, especially Muslim designers, not putting too much pressure on them, but yet we perhaps promote, or we adhere to this mindset of, okay, we would like to be ethical. This is the value that we respect, and this is the way where we go. What is the way to not spend too much, to not eat too much, to not buy too much, and to just stay within our means in order to save ourselves and save the planet and save people around us.
So it really is a challenge being a small designer and being a small business. You really don't initially have the capital that other designers have, other large businesses have. And of course, the challenge is investment. You don't have investors backing you. You have, your savings, you're trying to save money, you don't have an investor. And so you're trying to put your little pennies together to do this. And so you're trying to make sure that your product is something that your client is going to want. And so you want to make sure that your price point is something that your client can afford. And if you're working with a factory, a lot of times designers initially were working with factories in China. And then they found out about the whole Uyghur situation, and then they didn't want to work with China anymore. So then it was, okay, well, where can I find another factory to produce my product at a level where I can produce it at a price point where I can sell it and make a profit? And so it's been a whole conundrum of issues, because of course factories in America are too expensive. And so it's really a challenge trying to work at it without some kind of investment to be able to do this.
Maybe the quality of these products will play a big role.
It's absolutely. And so it's trying to find a factory where you can get the quality that you want to be able to meet the needs of your client and the needs that you want. So I have a high standard of quality for what I want to have for my products. So I work with a factory overseas to produce my products. But having investment is a big help that of course, any designer needs. And so all designers are looking for investors. So if there are any investors out there looking to work with a designer, please let me know. I know designers who would love to work with investors to help them market and help to produce more inventory for their products, because that is what's helpful for designers, but also with the customers, because they want to be able to have more inventory to purchase.
Yes, and maybe let's say normal designer, how they can support the modest fashion designer at the same time.
Exactly. So the designers would love to be able to work together to create some kind of collaborative, exactly, to work together to create some kind of collaborative to support one another, to share ideas. And 'cause, for example, she said, for me to be in Torino Fashion Week, I mean, it is amazing. I mean, I'm surprised I'm even there myself, but I sent them my designs, showed them what I did, and they liked it. Modest activewear is something that's new and something that is not a typical activewear. I mean, activewear generally looks like sweats or something else, but this is not typical activewear. But I wanted something new and different, and so they liked it. They said, okay. I scraped together the money for the designer fee. And I'm part of a collective of modest designers that are opening up Torino Fashion Week. Torino Fashion Week is not a Muslim show. It's not a Muslim. There are regular designers, but there is a collective of Muslim designers that are opening up Torino Fashion Week. And so, alhamdulillah, we're trying to make some progress.
Yes. Any question from the audience? Okay, I have a question for Sarah from another audience. They are virtual. Sarah, the question is, why don't we see enough media coverage for modest fashion events in Americans' local media?
Okay. Yes. Okay, I was just waiting for a thumbs up to speak. We do not see enough coverage of modest fashion in the mainstream media, because the mainstream media that we are talking about are Europeans and Americans. They are not accustomed to seeing any of these, and they are covering them at the moment because they are forced to. Let's say, Vogue magazine wrote a disastrous, extremely bad article about modest fashion. It was disastrous, and the reason they did that because they were forced of covering the social issues and social innovations that was happening in the society. What was happening? Instagram. I mean, we have this guy, Pelangi, Dina Pelangi, I think her name, 4.1 million followers on Instagram. We have Dina Torquillo, 2.4 million followers on Instagram. If they post a photo or anything about themselves or anything they support, they are going to get instant likes within the 10 minutes. I don't know, 355,000 likes, and we do not even get 15 likes from support of the New York Times and the best article that you could ever imagine to publish. I'm talking about social media at the moment, and I do not want to, I'm journalist, you're journalists, I do not really want to downgrade what we are doing, and it's important. But what I'm talking about is mainstream media were forced to cover and to write about modest fashion because it was a social issue and social phenomenon. So they were forced to write about what's happening in social scenes. And then they were forced to take many of those influencers serious. And then they were forced, because the market, the people like you and I and many of the Muslims in the community who were purchasing, we have gained purchase power, who were purchasing their products, they were forcing them, hey, we want to see this and we want to see that. So therefore you saw Idrisi on the major pages of Britain's fashion scene, and then you saw Halima Aden in many of the prestigious fashion shows on runways. Why? Because Muslim and we are talking about halal industry, don't we? So it's a very large industry. It's in a has been placed in a global market, and we cannot ignore the numbers. So Muslims with their purchase power, I mean, requesting that we need to see this. And also on the other hand, the brands see this is something that they cannot ignore anymore. They must to write about. So then they included like hijab wearing model, and then the market has opened up a bit. But here's the thing: we are in a Western mindset and Western mainstream. We are calling it, and unfortunately calling it mainstream, because they have the power and money and leverage. So penetrate this stream and introduce something new and have them to write about this new phenomenon, I think is very important. You know, modest fashion and this kind of dialogue that we are putting forward is for the first time that you would see in mainstream media has been talked about, that it has a positive connotation towards Muslim countries. I mean, I just challenge you. You see New York Times, and the last paragraph of every story in New York Times and in any major newspaper about Muslim nations are always negative. So I think modest fashion and Muslim women are changing the narrative. I'm glad that we are seeing that, and we have, I mean, like, I am a very small publication, but my publication like mine or other smaller publications are forcing the mainstream media to pay attention to this, and I'm hoping that we'll see more designers like Nisa. In Turin last year, we had a few major designers, Muslim designers in Turin. We had in Milan major fashion show, and then right now we have modest fashion shows like in a very world class standard in some of the countries, including one is happening in November in Dubai, two are happening in Turkey, and one is happening in London. So when some things are happening, mainstream media has to cover, and they're covering, and hopefully we see more of this kind of stories rather than stories about terrorism and Islamophobia.
So how can modest fashion affect the growth of
American economy?
Oh, American economy? Oh, absolutely. You know, for example, H&M wanted to have a segment of their clothing called modest fashion. I mean, this is how important modest fashion is. H&M started with their first Muslim model, Maria Idris. She mentioned Maria Idris. She's from London, but they got a lot of backlash from customers who said, modest fashion? You mean all your other fashions were immodest? You know, what are you talking about? And so they got such backlash that they took it off. They took the name off, but they kept the designs. And so you can go on H&M and you can find long tops, you can find long sweaters, you can find full-length dresses, fuller dresses. So you can find modest fashion on H&M. It's just not labeled modest fashion because they got such backlash. And so modest fashion is out there. You just have to know where to look for it. And so the thing is that we have to be able to inspire and empower modest fashion designers to be able to penetrate so that they can be able to get some of the modest fashion dollars for themselves, so that we can empower Muslim designers to be able to do that.
I don't think just only Zara.
Oh, absolutely. Zara is another store also that sells modest fashion as well. So H&M, Zara, also in Macy's, you can find also in Nordstrom. You can find modest designs in those stores as well.
But without label.
Without them being labeled modest design, because there is a large contingency of Muslims, especially in this area, there are a large community of Muslims, and they want the Muslim money.
Right.
They know, especially Muslim women, they know Muslim women are going to shop and they're going to buy, and they want our dollars. And so they have to appeal to that. And so they know we buy, they know we shop, and so they want our money, and they're going to have products that appeal to us.
I think we reached to the end of our session, and I would like to thank you for coming, Dr. Nisa Muhammad.
No,
and
thank
Sara
you
Jamshidi
for
too.
having me. Thank
And
you
the
so much.
audience, thank you for joining us. Thanks.